Hello there, it's May, still May, just for a couple of days. It's actually May the 28th today. I just had to check just to make sure I didn't get it wrong. And, well, there's a whole heap of stuff going on in the political world, of course, because of the fallout after the EU elections, but we may come to that at the end, I don't know. We haven't quite decided yet because we've got quite a packed programme. Some of you may have been with us on the 20th of May, 8 days ago. We were at Loch Lomond on an away day. We took our buckets and spades and got an ice cream there. It was wonderful. And we met up with Ross Greer of the Green Party, and we were talking about a proposed development, which is a thing called Flamingo Land, which immediately thinks you're going to see dozens of pink birds in the water when they don't seem to, in one's mind, fit. Or maybe they fit in your mind. It's everybody's different. Anyway, this proposed thing, of course, is one of those things that some people seem to want, and then other people totally reject. And Ross Greer had signatures on a petition. I think he got about 55,000 odd. May have got a few more by now because it's a few days ago. And whilst we were there, I spoke with a very nice lady, and she was called Sam, and she's actually driven all the way from the sunny shores of Loch Lomond to be with us this evening. Sam.
Hi.
You got caught in the traffic, I think.
I did, yes. The joys of living next to Loch Lomond in the 82 on a sunny evening. Yes, get well caught in the traffic.
And of course, that's one of the problems we can talk about in a few minutes regarding this development. But the journey in from the beautiful place of Loch Lomond through the sort of west end of Glasgow, it's quite a contrast, isn't it?
It is, yeah, because you go from this lovely kind of countryside landscape into the kind of city, so it's very different. Yeah, very interesting.
And sometimes there's the country mouse and the town mouse, but you know, there are lots of people who've obviously, if you spread the net worldwide, there's a lot of people in the world who've never been to Loch Lomond. But I think it's a name that many, I mean, what would you say, 95% of people would know it if you said it.
Everybody recognises Loch Lomond. It's one of these places, it doesn't matter where you travel in the world. If you ask, where are you from? Loch Lomond. Ah, the song! They know Loch Lomond. They might not have been there, but they recognise Loch Lomond through the song. Yeah,
I've been doing a thing with some older folk in a residential home, and I had them singing it the other day.
Oh, fantastic.
And I videoed them singing it. It's wonderful, but I'm not allowed to show you it on the television, so I agreed I wouldn't. But it's really rather lovely. And that beautiful song, of course, I don't think anybody really knows when it was written and how it was written, but it does describe, and there are different interpretations of what the song means. I remember singing it at a place once, and the gentleman got up and he was very emotional about all the terribleness that he saw in the song, about the evil things that happened around surrounding. But that song is rather evocative, isn't it?
It is. It means a lot. And yeah, you're right, it's got many meanings. One of the meanings I'm aware of is it's a love song as well. So there's many meanings there with the song. And yes, it's just perfect for Loch Lomond. It really describes everything about it.
There's another argument that people sometimes have about the lowlands and the highlands of Scotland.
Yes.
And we see there is actually a natural fault line there.
There is.
And this is, I suppose, the point where that bit of the tropics came and joined this other landmass to our south and became the Highlands of Scotland. And of course this great gully was cut out in the last of the ice ages, and it actually is. It means the elms, doesn't it? It's the loch, the what is it? The water of the elms or something.
Yes.
It's elms is really what the Loch Lomond means.
There's a lot of kind of stories and history and mystic stories, folk tales around Loch Lomond as well. So yeah, it plays a part in.
And of course, you see if you look at the map, you come to the Forth if you go to the east. And of course, Stirling was the place where you could cross from the south to the north, because anywhere kind of to the east of that was too difficult to to traverse in the older days, and that was often where the battles from the south and from the north met. I mean, Malcolm II, Malcolm the Destroyer, met King Canute there, didn't he? So it's got a lot of wonderful history. Yes, we get to the point in a minute, but we're just kind of building a little picture of Loch Lomond first, aren't we?
Yes,
because it is the most remarkable place, and the beauty of it is astonishing.
It is. It's very natural. And it kind of gives you an idea what it would have been like during, with the volcanoes and things, because you can still see the kind of shapes and everything, especially with Ben Lomond. But yeah, it's very natural. It's very beautiful.
It's actually the second largest land water mass in
that's right, yeah.
Loch Ness being the larger. And when you were a child, you actually learned to swim there.
Yes, we used to go there swimming, as did many local children, because where the bay is, or what was known as the sandpits, children could swim in this area quite safely because it never ever was that deep, and the undercurrent from the loch, which is quite dangerous, never really affected that area. So lots of kids learned how to swim there. You also had the kids who used to cycle their bikes off the piers. I never done that. I was too scared to do that one. But yeah, there's a lot of enjoyment about going down and using the loch for free. And that's the point. It's just that beauty of being able being able to be children.
I mean, people have been coming there for centuries, haven't they? The Vikings used to come up Loch Long and drag their boats across to Tarbert and all the rest of it. So does it have a problem at the moment of attracting people? And that is the first point I want you to make.
No.
Because there it is, it's a beautiful place just as it is, and what I'm really asking you is, does it require development there to first of all bring people from other places to it, or is it just enough magnetism on its own?
Well, at the moment there is actually a lot of development around Loch Lomond. Some of it's quite sympathetic to the natural environment, so you don't really notice it. But currently at the moment, especially Balloch, where they're wanting to put Flamingo Land, it is certainly, yes, there's a couple of wee tweaks that could happen, but it's perfect the way it is now. Lots of people, I think there's about 7 million visitors every year that go to that.
So that's
7 million.
7 billion people.
Million. So,
I know, that's the whole world.
That's it.
7 million people.
Yeah, so there's quite a lot of visitors that go there
so
now.
The whole of the population of Scotland basically comes through your doors every year.
Yeah, they come to visit it, and there's so many pursuits, all the different outdoor pursuits. It doesn't matter what the weather, and obviously if the midges behave themselves, that's another issue. But yeah, there's lots to do at Loch Lomond naturally.
That comes to my second question of this particular thing, the background of it all. The A82 is your road.
Yes.
And it is kind of jewelled for a lot of the way, and it goes over the bridge, the Erskine Bridge, and then onto the motorway, the A8, the M8 to beg your pardon. No, it's another little bit.
M8.
92.
Yeah, there's a kind of
876.
small wee bit, yes.
Yeah. So but it is a reasonable kind of road, but there's quite a few roundabouts, and there are housing developments along there. So there's a lot of traffic anyway, and of course it does have to take all the traffic that comes down from the west coast, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's one of the main trunk roads for the west coast of Scotland. So basically it's an extremely busy road, and also as well it's used for the nuclear convoy going to Faslane. So it's a very, very busy road, well used by lots of different industries, and also people, tourists, and also the locals. And you will see on many occasions, like tonight, it becomes gridlocked. And when that becomes gridlocked, it affects all the smaller trunk roads in the area, which, as a local of the area, we kind of get used to. We kind of work out the times when it's best to go out driving, when not to go out, and basically when we effectively become trapped in our own area. It's quite good if you can get up and get onto the back road, the Stockymuir Road. You can go up that way, but it's been able to actually access these roads when it's so busy. So
if it is approved and this development goes ahead, there are going to be problems with the major trunk roads that go there and come. And of course, that's not a matter for West Dunbartonshire Council, is it? Because that's a matter for the roads, the Transport Scotland. And
Yes.
so that these are two authorities. I mean, obviously, the local authority looks after little roads within their thing, but the trunk roads that link everything else up, that's another. So you've got to, if you want to improve those roads, you've got to get a much bigger funding process going.
Yeah.
All right, so we've established a couple of things.
Yeah.
First of all, you've got a whole heap of visitors already.
Yeah.
And they're catered enough for. There's enough cafe and enough
Yeah.
toilets and enough things that keep that thing running. There's enough place to park the cars. And your road system at the moment is at a sort of a. If it was a bit more elastic, it would be good, but it's just about livable,
Yeah.
and you learn to live it. All right, so now we've got this we've already discussed the traffic jams and how you get in and out as a person who lives there. All right, so now this development, what is it that these people want to do? Now that's a bit of, and who are they?
Right. First of all, they are Flamingo Land, who are a company based in Yorkshire, who have a holiday resort. They don't call it a theme park; they call it a holiday resort.
And what kind of resort is that? Is it?
It has caravans, self-catering chalets. It also has a zoo, and it has theme park rides.
So it's going to be kind of for the kids to come, normal kind of everyday families.
Yeah.
Go there for a week or something.
Yes.
in the good weather or the.
So this is who they are, and they've went into partnership with Scottish Enterprise to purchase this piece of land at Loch Lomond, and they want to make that into a resort. At this moment in time, the reason myself and others are opposed to the development is because the land is actually public land.
All right, let's hold on that one for a
Yeah.
minute, because that's a huge point.
Yes.
But let's just get into the nitty-gritty of what they're really proposing. Are you saying they're going to bring some sort of pseudo-Disney kind of thing up?
We don't know, because at the moment we're just at the proposal stages of the application. And I was at a meeting today, listening to
And
a
that's
briefing.
another thing we've got to talk about, because there was a lot of problems there, wasn't
Yes, there was. And one of the things that they keep saying was, this is only a proposal. This is only an outline. This is not the master plan. So what we're seeing now can actually change multiple times before we get the final master plan, so to speak. So at the moment, all we know, there's going to be a hotel with over 100 lodges. There is going to be 6
And
private
when you say
houses.
lodges, so there's a sort of
Self-catering.
glorified caravans that are kind of built out of logs.
We don't know if
wooden
it's going
things.
to be wooden ones, wooden kind of chalet style, or caravans. We just know lodges. On the artistic impressions that they keep giving us, they keep showing the kind of wooden cabin style. But nobody's actually confirmed that's what they are going to be. There is going to be a water park with an infinity pool and flumes. There is going to be a craft brewery. There is going to be a monorail, which is going to go through.
So what we're talking about here is a kind of a Europa Park, I'd say.
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever been there. It's just north of Switzerland, in the southern part of Germany.
Never been, but I've heard of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had a big fire there a while ago, and
Yeah.
that was why it got big publicity. But it sounds to me as if it's that kind of
Yes.
thing. So not quite Disney, but something on that lines
Yes.
is what they're proposing. All right. So then the land issue then is the next big question. The land at the moment belongs to us.
Yes, it's
The
public
the
land.
people of Scotland.
Yes.
Is it not in a national park?
Yes, it is. It is within
And
the
don't
boundaries.
they have big problems in putting planning permissions in a big national park?
Yes.
So we've got 2 things I've asked you there. One is who belongs to the land, who is the land belonging to, who can sell it, who's got the right to sell it, and why the dickens should they be selling public property?
Yeah, well, basically at the moment, Scottish Enterprise are the guardian
So
holders.
they're guardians. They don't own it, but they're guardians.
They basically, a way back, I've got my wee piece of paper here, which we got through a Freedom of Information, that they bought it from the British Railways Board in 1989. There's 2 pieces of land that were bought, one in 1989 and one bought in 1995 using public funds. The total of those pieces of land put together comes to over 2.7 million. And that's going back to 1989.
So you're saying in 1989 they paid 2 point what million?
between the two pieces. So in 1989,
Yeah.
they paid 180,000.
2,600,000.
Yeah.
And they paid that to Drumkinnon Development Company
Yes.
in 1995.
Yes.
Okay,
So
right.
altogether, £2.7 million altogether. And basically what they're saying is they need to sell the land for development, but 40% of the land which is included in the sale was never part of the local development plan which was laid out by the National Park.
And then did Sally Bailey mention this in the Parliament
I'm not
last
sure.
week sometime?
I think so, yes. Yeah. Jackie Bailey? Was it
Jackie Bailey,
Yeah.
big one.
Yeah. Yes, she did.
What's that? Did I say Sally?
Yeah, you did. We've
My
got a
mouth-
Sally Page counsellor down in
My mouth does need a
Bartonshire.
bit of adjustment some days. I try my best with all these things, but
Too many names.
yeah, all right. So we got this piece of land, and they've got the not the ownership, but they're the guardians
Yeah.
of it, and now they're proposing to sell it to this company, Flamingo Land. And what do people think about that?
A lot of the locals are up in arms. We're not happy.
And is that the basis of this petition, or is that
Yes,
something
the
else?
objections. Yes.
Is that the basis of the
yes.
petition, or is it against the development or the sale of the land?
It's
or
the
both?
sale of the land. It's
All right.
basically a sale of the land. It's actually objections because the National Park won't legally accept any petitions. This is what we were told last year when we started this. So Ross Greer and his team had managed to set up the site so people could log individual objections rather than do a petition, because the previous petitions were not accepted.
Oh, so this is not petitions, it's
Yeah.
objections.
It's objections,
There's
yes.
a little bit of a jiggery-pokery with
Yeah.
it. Like my Sally and Jackie,
Yes, exactly like that, yeah.
Because we know we were talking about
Yeah.
Miss
We knew who
Bailey.
we were talking about, yeah. But yeah, the National Park will not accept any petitions. And this was one of the
Have
problems.
they got a right not to accept a petition?
I think they do. As a body, a governing body, they do have a right. So what we done when myself and Alana had started Save Loch Lomond, a lot of people could not navigate the website to place an objection to the National Park.
Well, actually, I was trying to navigate the websites just before you got here, trying to
Yeah.
find all this information. The best place was a source of Facebook, actually.
Yes.
and
It's-
then it was this Twitter feed I read too.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to navigate. So when we started speaking to people, the local community, a lot of people either didn't know how to do
And
this.
when you went to them, approached them, were they surprised?
Who the people?
people, you
Yes,
just-
yes. Some of them didn't even know this was
Because quite frequently
happening.
things can happen right under your nose and you don't really
people
actually realise they're
weren't
going to be
aware
happening.
of this going on in their own back door, so they were very surprised.
Did you it's just an idea that came to we will come back to the council on that in a minute, but you know in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you know the fella in the spaceship, he warns Earth, well, it was in your local planning department at Alpha Centauri, blah 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 blah, and of course there's no chance to get there, is
Yeah,
there?
it was a bit like that,
So-
exactly like that.
Yeah.
It was very much like that. But no, people just, so we decided, and that's why we started the campaign, and it was basically to inform people, because we felt that the public consultation basically didn't do that. It didn't really inform people what was happening.
And what was when this application came into the council, what was their response? I mean, obviously it goes to the planning people, who are the actual officials first, doesn't it? And then they put it up to the council. There was one time I did actually do that job. It was many centuries ago, and it didn't last for too long because I found it absolutely the most tedious thing I've ever been involved in. But those people who are there loved it, because you have to be a certain kind of personality to want to do that.
And you certainly are not that certain personality.
Yes. I did it to try and please my mother because she didn't want me to do what I wanted me to do. Anyway, that's another story. So this planning application went into the planning officials, and they then knocked it about and then put it up at a planning meeting to see what the councillors said about it. So what was said at that initial stage?
What, today?
No, but is it the initial stage now? I thought this had been going on for some time.
It has been going on for some time, but as far as I'm aware, the council hasn't actually had a meeting. I could be wrong.
Okay. So this is going to be, we're talking really, this is the first kind of real position where the council have met it.
Yeah.
But of course, there was an absolute, ridiculousness at this meeting, because you went there as an observer. You weren't allowed to go in the council chamber. They put you in a gallery, and you couldn't hear anything. Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct. We got put in a gallery, and nobody could hear anything. We couldn't hear anything at all, because we were a floor above the council chamber. So
there was now no sound system.
No sound, no nothing. So
and what about recording the meeting? Because you can if you go to the Glasgow councils, you can actually watch them and you can see back all the different meetings. And is that not available in the?
No, they actually refused. It was actually a question was asked by 2 of the councillors to have the meeting recorded, and because it wasn't an official council meeting, it was a briefing by Flamingo Lands. There was no requirement to actually record the meeting.
Is this because they've only just put the planning application there and they're trying to sort of...
Can't answer that. I honestly don't know. But So is
it a briefing before they put the actual final thing in? Are they trying to find their way through?
I think what it was is there's a council meeting on the 26th of June where the public, it'll be a proper council meeting, and the public can actually apply to ask questions regarding the planning application. So I think today was more of a briefing pre-council meeting.
Okay. So then people will be able to object a bit later down the line.
Yeah.
So let's just keep with the people a little bit in Bealach and all. Whereas you've got 55,000 folk there.
Yes.
They're all going to be clamouring to knock on the door maybe and put their objections in. Who knows? That would. I do remember a council meeting in Switzerland where they had to shut it down because so many people turned up when they wanted to put a golf course there, and they actually had to put a great big tent on the car park to make the accommodation for that, so everybody could get in, because it was a requirement there. Surely it would be a requirement here. But thinking of some of the individuals that you've dealt with, have you got any little choice quotes or any, things like, well, when I was a young man, blah, 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 I courted my girlfriend along there and I would hate to see it.
We hear loads of stories, some, about memories, some sad, some happy. People fishing, people swimming.
Because all these things,
many.
We always fail to understand the difference between logic and emotion.
Yes.
It's the emotion that gets people going. The logic, which we really do have to come to sometime, like they'll have to do with the wretched Brexit thing and all. But but the emotion is what fires people up. And I was just wondering, was there any particular emotional story that really got someone?
And I don't know, there's so many to pick one out. I don't
what
think
about yourself? I mean, you talked about these halcyon days when you were, you're not old now, for goodness sake.
Oh, crikey.
But
Thank you.
I know you've got children and everything, and I mean, was there any one particular story that really...
For me, my greatest memory of Loch Lomond has been kind of young and going to the pubs in Bealach, and then on a summer's evening heading down there and playing in the sand with my friends while we were drunk.
And you were only 12 years old.
I was only 12. Underage drinking. No. But no, it's things like this, and everybody has got similar memories that, whether they've been out drinking in Bealach, and these silly don't mean a lot, but
first time I went there, I was 17.
Yeah.
And we went on a boat and sailed around the islands, and it was a beautiful day, a bit chilly but beautiful, coming towards the end of the summer. And I wrote a song, and I actually found it. I actually kept it there's a folder. After I'd seen you the other day, I looked it up, and yes, it was still there.
Wow! You need to sing it.
I could probably remember it if I really thought about it, but probably
that's lovely.
Won't be able to do it to you tonight. But yeah, so what we've established is that we've got this beautiful place that's very emotionally attached to the people who live there. We've got a road that just about copes but doesn't cope all the time.
Yeah.
We've got a developer who wants to come and bring some sort of pseudo Disneyland into this place, which is well documented around the world for the Loch Lomond song and all. So we've discussed the meeting was a bit of a disaster. You couldn't hear, they couldn't record it. So what was the meat and gravy of the meeting? Who said what to who, and who got cross with what, and who did anyone get cross, or was it all
they did.
mild mannered?
Yeah, no, yes, it was mild mannered, but yeah, there was one or two who got a bit cross. The meeting was, we ended up down in the main chamber. They moved us down the stairs so we could hear, and they eventually got the microphones up and working so we could hear what was going on. And the basis of the meeting was Flamingo Land briefing what their vision of their master plan is.
So who did the briefing? Was it an employee of these people?
Yes, there was a few people. There was actually a team of people. Sorry, this is where my name memory bank goes a bit blank.
Okay.
There was,
and when you said it was a team of people, were they from Scotland? Were they from Balloch? Were they from Yorkshire?
There was an architecture company who's in charge of the design. Can't remember
where do they come from?
I'm not sure. I would not lie. There was Scottish Enterprise, and there was Andy Miller, who's the sales director of Flamingo Land.
And is he a Scot? Or?
Yes, he actually is from Balloch.
All right.
He is actually Balloch brought up. And
you can hold the prospectus up if you want. Is this what they gave you?
Yes, this is what they gave us.
You hold it up to the camera. I think that one over there with the red light on.
Yep.
That's it.
Basically, this is what they gave us, but this was after the equipment kept failing. I was tweeting as we were in the meeting, and their equipment, their presentation kept failing. So eventually the staff from the council...
So these guys, these posh guys, were they kind of suited and booted?
Yes.
I mustn't make a value judgment about them being posh guys.
No.
I do apologise. I didn't mean to say it.
No, but they
what
were
I was trying to establish
very
were
professional.
they very professional
Yes.
men, the kind of guys who have their nice shoes and they've got the shirt and tie on, and they were there to present a professional presentation. But the actual projector and the screen, everything failed. Okay, that's what the point I was trying to make.
Yes, I got your point exactly. No, they kept
I was using
failing.
shorthand, which I shouldn't have
No, it's
done.
absolutely fine. No, they were very professional, and yes, their presentation kept failing. So they gave us a copy. Eventually, they got it up and running.
So you've got a nice little colour photocopy of this thing. Lomond Banks, and is that what they're trying to call it? Lomond Banks.
This is what the new name of it is. It used to be Iconic Leisure.
And where they get the wood bank must have come from. No, they wouldn't have
The
known
wood
about
bank
elm trees, would they?
No, the wood bank house was done as a private sale, so that's not our concern. Our concern is the West Riverside, because that's the public area.
And what
private.
it was a presentation to elected members of West Dunbartonshire Council. So yeah, I was just reading the front because I didn't know if you could pick it all up on camera. So let's go through the document and
Do you want me to hold up this way?
and you can tell us what's on the thing.
Yes.
Yeah, so you got some pictures on the back of the first page.
Yes,
And
this
if you
was...
hold it up a wee bitty so
Yeah.
that they can see. Whatever's on the screen to your right is what they can see outside.
Yeah.
So you got the process, and this is what are they? You tell me what they are.
Right, this is when they done a kind of meet and greet and presentation down at Lomond Shores, and they invited the public in to come and speak to them and ask questions about Flamingo Land. So these are photographs representing the meet and greet and the presentation that took place in...
And it had some stuff there so you could see what they were proposing. Now, you'd think that if they were making these nice exhibition units there was a pretty concrete idea about what they were going to put up. But now you've said that it's gone a bit nebulous now and a bit as far from being sort of, this is what we're going to do. It's sort of more jelly-like, and you can press it and see what bounces back. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay.
They've already changed some of the applications.
What's the next page? We got a map.
That is the map. This is the wood bank, which was part of the private sale.
All right, so that wasn't included in the national park
no,
then?
that's not included. So this is the
So
area
they bought that bit of land outright,
yes,
have they?
yes. So this is the area we're concerned about, which is the
So
public
that's where
land.
the Balloch Pier is, yeah?
Yes, there's Balloch Pier up
That's
here.
where that boat is.
Yes, the Maid of the Loch.
The Maid
And that's
of the Loch.
the bay, all round here. And this is the bit where we used to swim. This is Lomond Shores down here.
So that's like a cafe place, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got cafe
Shopping
and retail.
centre,
Yeah. They admitted today that that is actually failing. Scottish Enterprise admitted today it's failing.
And so that belongs to Scottish
Yeah, Enterprise as well, yes.
So Scottish Enterprise said it was failing.
Yes, it's
So
failing.
they actually said it.
They actually said today it's failing, and they're
So that
hoping
means they're not
Flamingo
making
Land.
enough money to keep the
Yes.
thing running properly.
And they're hoping Flamingo Land will help to prop it up. And that came
So-
from Scottish Enterprise themselves today.
So Scottish Enterprise say
Yeah.
that's failing, and what they're actually kind of hoping for is that Flamingo Land will come in and put the jack under it and keep it from falling in the water.
Yes.
I see.
That's exactly what they're hoping for. So this is the map, and this is where all the woodland is. This is where we done our interview last week, round about
So to your left, then that's the car park there.
Yeah. So this is the area where, this is the bit where the brewery's going to go,
All right.
and this is where the hotel is going to go,
Okay.
right here.
And did this meeting? I mean, they must take council minutes. They do. So someone was a stenographer.
Someone was
sitting
taking
there taking
minutes. We have already requested that we get a copy of the minutes. So once we get a copy of the minutes, we will make them public.
All
And
right.
we will review them and make them
Be
public.
interesting to see that.
Yeah.
Now, hold the thing back up again.
Yeah.
Now we've got the map. Is there any idea where they're going to put these lodges?
The lodges will be, there's going to be lodges along there.
And the hotel's going to go there as well.
Yeah, so the lodges will be along the front of the river. There's going to be lodges along this area, and round here. But what they said today
And how do you
was-
get to the car park if you've got to drive through all the lodges?
Well, what they're saying is there will be buggies and monorail and walking.
A monorail.
Yeah. You will be able to drive down here to get to the slipway.
But surely
that's
the
it.
monorail will be part of the attractions of the fun park, won't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what they actually said today, according to their application form, you can actually see where the lodges are going to be. But today what they said was if this gets approved and then they go on to the next stage, they will then apply for other planning permission for where exactly the lodges are going to go.
I see.
So at the moment we're only guessing. It's
Okay,
again
so
it's
they're being a bit
that
vague.
jelly, yes. It's this master plan.
So then, when they've put all this stuff there, will you be able to get to where the boat is, the big boat? Will you be able to get to that pier?
Well,
or
what
not?
they are saying is yes, because they need to allow people to get to the pier
Without let or hindrance, as it says
Yes.
in people's passports.
Yes, they have said that they will definitely allow people to get to the pier to see the Maid of the Loch.
Because a lot of people use that for. I mean, there is a marina on the other side, isn't there? When you come near where your chin is on the map.
Right here?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then,
that's Cameron House. Yes.
Yeah, and then you've got people who do. When we were there the other day, there was somebody blowing up a canoe, wasn't there?
Yes.
And going in the water with that, and that must cause people a lot of pleasure. And
Yeah.
to go out into this kind of wild place, which is so close to Glasgow, it must give people an enormous amount of pleasure to get away from buildings. And we showed a picture of the building, the proposed building
Yes.
the other day. It was a proposal thing. And actually, I was driving on the M8 the other day, junction 11 coming from the east towards Glasgow, and it almost mirrored it, because it was a mirror kind of finish, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's sort of aluminium, shiny thing across the landscape there. Now, what do you think about that idea? Because you saw that picture too.
Yeah, it's just hideous. Personally, I think the building they're proposing looks a bit like a power station It's just
Well,
hideous.
talking of power stations, there is a power station on Loch Lomond,
Yes,
isn't there?
up the far end, yes,
Would
up
you
the north.
notice it? I don't think you
No,
would.
you don't notice it.
It's all kind of vegetated in, isn't it?
Yes,
And
you
although
don't
it's a
notice
power station, it's just, you can't see it.
You don't notice it unless you're actually
So
looking for it.
Let's go to the next page, see
Right.
what we got there.
Let's see. And now,
More colour pictures.
more
Oh.
pictures, more
They
photographs.
came out. I wonder how long it took them to get the sky blue that colour.
I know.
The guy must have been camping with his camera for years.
Yeah, especially down at Loch Lomond. No, it does get blue like that sometimes.
I've been
not
going to
very-
Loch Lomond since I was 17. I've only been there twice when it's been sunny, actually. I know,
You're going
I know
on the
I can
wrong
go there
days.
every day, yeah, I know that. But it's a joke, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is basically the kind of existing photographs of the existing area at Balloch. So you've got the Maid of the Loch, you've got, I don't know what that is, that's the Tourist Information Centre. You have, I think that's one of the pubs.
Yeah. And there's some
Yeah.
more pictures on the other side.
Yeah, and that's the map
Yeah.
of the actual development. And this is the photographs. This is quite interesting. This is the photographs that Flamingoland and Scottish Enterprise keep using
Oh, I see.
to
Yeah.
prove that it's industrial, derelict, abandoned land.
I see. So this is they're claiming it's brownfield land or something.
Yeah.
So explain the top picture to your left.
Basically, this is Lomond Shores, but by the looks of things, this
The
has been...
black and white one.
Oh, the black
Yeah.
and white ones, yeah.
So what were they trying to show that?
They're trying to show the old silk works that used to be there, which is going back, I'm going to say well before my time. I don't know if it was, but
Are there
I
mulberry
can't,
trees there?
I can't remember.
Are the mulberry trees there?
I don't know.
Because you need mulberry trees, don't they? Because it's what the worms eat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the silk, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's
so
one I'll need to research. I never researched that one.
Yeah,
No.
there was a mulberry tree in a plough house where I lived once when I was a young loon.
Also here what you've got is showing the old railway going right up to the pier.
So they're claiming that the railway was put there by the Victorians so they could get to the loch.
Yeah.
And so, but of course they would have used it for the silk as well to
Yes.
transport that away, because they weren't stupid, those guys, were they? They
No.
always found a way of making the maximum of everything.
Definitely. But no, the railway's no longer there because obviously the train station's now in Balloch Central. But no, this is
Was
what
it
they're
was it
claiming.
old Beeching who chucked that out, or back in the no, you're too young.
I'm too young.
do the 60s. There was
I'm
a
too
man. Which I should be educated. There was a man called Beeching, and he doctor he was. I don't know what he was, a doctor of taking the railways away. But, maybe, but he closed a lot of the railway lines, and of course. There are railway lines. They've actually been trying to restore. Many guys and girls put together these railways with the steam engines.
Yeah.
Because to hark back. But I think I'm going to, if I say this wrongly, but I'm sure that part of that West Coast line that they've restored recently was one of the old Beeching ones. I may be getting that wrong. I hope not. But
Need to
I've not,
go
I've
and
not
have a
heard
look
anything
and
to
find
the
out.
contrary, so I'm
Yeah.
probably right. So and then the bottom picture there, that in early, what does it say the date? It doesn't say.
It doesn't really say dates.
Early 20th century.
Which could mean
well, that
anything.
could be 1900.
Can
And that
mean-
says midnight. That can be 1950 there.
So it's very misleading.
Yeah.
Because it
and
doesn't
this
show...
other colour picture is what they're proposing, is it?
No, that is another old photograph. I don't know when from.
So what's that great white kind of streak in
That is Lomond Shores. I imagine that's been after Lomond Shores has been built.
And have they painted that white in, or was
That's
it
the
white?
roof.
Was it white
That's
when
the
it's
roof,
built?
yeah. I think it's the roof when it's just been built.
Okay, turn the page. See what else we got.
Right, let's see what else I've got. Now, this is
They're rather
small
aren't they,
snaps.
to see on the television.
Yeah.
So, but there are more pictures of much the same.
Yes.
So site considerations they're talking about.
Yeah,
there.
and
All right, what's the
oh,
next
yeah,
thing?
that's pretty
Oh, we've
much
got
the
some more.
same. Yeah.
Consider yourself at home. That's
Yeah.
a kind of Victorian thing too, isn't it?
Yes.
Comes from that musical. Oh, we shouldn't have said that because I hope we don't get picked up on a
Oh,
copyright
no.
thing. I should have
Oh,
done
no.
it.
Right, here we go. There's design concepts. So they're going for a resort concept, a woodland concept, and a town concept. This is what they were talking about today as well.
Yeah. So what do they mean by that?
And basically what they've decided is you'll have a resort concept, which they didn't really
Oh,
go
so
into.
this is the jelly part we were talking about. Because that completely changes everything. If they're going to put the woodland there, that's where the hotels and the caravans were going to go.
Yeah.
And now you've got this resort, and that if they put the resort complex there, then you cannot get out onto the loch at all because there's no access to it. And if you've got a resort complex there with fun rides and everything, they're going to charge people for that, aren't they? And they won't let you come in and use it for free.
Yeah, well, that was one of the questions today when one of the councillors actually asked, are the public still going to get unrestricted access to the loch?
Right, I see.
And
What
the
was the
ans-
response to that?
It was actually quite a flippant response, if I may say. One of the answers was, well, they can't access anywhere where there's a building because the building's there now. And then we got a more serious answer of, well, there'll be some areas which will need to charge for the facilities.
Say that bit again and say it nice and loud. Go
say
on.
it nice and loud. Basically, there will be some areas which will be charged for the facilities. So we're not going to have
So we're
unrestricted.
creeping in there because there was a
free
little
access.
creeping thing that I noticed in what you wrote on the Facebook.
Yeah.
And let me just oh gosh, the wretched thing does what it wants to, doesn't it?
Joys of technology.
Yeah, I mean it's great, but I mean this particular computer drives me balmy because I leave it all right and I turn back and it's not there anymore. But it was about the yeah, I'll leave it alone then. Oh, I found it now. It was this bit about it was a bit about the employees.
Yes.
They were offering employments, and local people would be employed if they had the skills.
If they have the skills.
So that
they
means
require.
that if they put that caveat in it, they could decide, you know, for any technical reason, that person hasn't got exactly the right skill that is required.
Exactly.
It's like one of these civil engineers, and the council want to buy a particular bus, so they've got to find one tiny difference between these buses and that bus, like the size of the steering wheel. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those ones. Yeah, it was
Jim
quite-
Bell taught me that in Hong Kong.
Ah.
Right, I don't know where it drove me.
Right,
Anyway,
here
turn
we go.
the page.
This is the artist's illustration of the master plan. That we don't know about the master plan because it's not complete yet.
Really what they're trying to do is take the whole of this bit of land over, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's what we keep saying is a land grab. It basically is a land
Just
grab.
let me be the devil's advocate. I mean, if they do take all that lot and they just do with it what they want and they invite all the people from here, there and everywhere to come and see it, is there somewhere that can replace that so it's like for normal folk?
No, there's not. That is the last public accessible area of to the loch for people, especially using public transport. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. If you've got a car, you can drive up the loch either side, and you can access the loch. If you're using public transport, the public transport basically stops at Balloch. Unless you're going to get a bus which maybe once every couple of hours going to one of the villages. So this is the last accessible point of the loch for
gotcha.
public.
Yeah.
Also,
Because if you drive up the A82, there's nowhere. There's various parking spots, isn't there? But
And
you've got to go to
now-
Tarbert before you can get back
Yes,
in.
and now a
there's
Gowland
nowhere
Group
on
are-
the east side, is there? Not
no,
really. 'Cause
not really. You need to
it's
drive
hilly,
up
isn't it? And, yeah.
Drummond and things. And
So turn the
it's
page and see what we've got
Yeah.
next. And if you could, you see that camera to your right? We've just altered it so you can get a better view.
There we go.
How's that?
Yeah.
All right, that's great. Now, what's on the page? Because I can't see it now, so you have to tell me.
Again, it's the artist's illustration of the design evolution.
You have to swing back a bit,
Oh.
Sam. And, yeah, almost.
Nearly. Got it. There we
Oh, look at that.
Perfect.
It's not too bad.
Not
A little
too
bit-
bad.
That's when you were drinking from that new distillery, and now you've been sobered up a wee bit. You know, whilst we're messing around with that, the distillery thing, what a brewery you said.
It's a
beg your
craft
pardon.
brewery, yes.
And what are they going to make their beer?
Well, Loch Lomond Brewery is already a local business which is established.
Oh, right. Do they use water from the loch?
I'm not sure where they use water from. However, but there is concerns that were raised today by the councillors regarding, bringing another alcoholic establishment into Balloch due to antisocial behaviour and
Oh.
drinking problems.
Do you get problems like that?
Yes, we do have problems like that, especially during the summer.
Yeah, well, they used to have problems like that a few years ago, I'm told,
Yeah.
when people used to go out there to the pubs and when they were 12 years old.
Yes, and go down. Yeah, that's.
Okay.
But
so-
no, there is a lot of problems, especially the past couple of years, where there's been a lot of kind of fighting and things,
All right.
and with alcohol
That doesn't
related.
improve the tourist thing, does it?
No, it doesn't. So you're trying to kind of move away from that, and you don't
See,
want to
even
encourage
that
it.
morning we were there, I talked with some French people, some people who came, a huge family that came all the way from the middle of India, or Bhopal, I think they came from.
Yeah.
Huge, great family, with grandies and children and
It's
uncles and aunties.
amazing. It's a great place because you can meet people literally from round the world, just there. You know, it's a great place. And you
So
get to
turn
talk
the
to
page,
others.
see what else we got. And you're getting used to being the person who can hold
Oh,
things
there
up.
we go. Perfect.
Yeah, isn't it? See, we're very good here.
There you go.
I
This
mean,
is the.
I mean, really, Broadcasting Scotland has some fabulous equipment. It really does. If we had a few more technicians, it would be quite handy. But we do quite well with all these things. All right. So this is the vehicular movement
Rail.
and rail movement and rail.
So this is basically your monorail,
Aha.
where it's going to go. So it's going to go from.
I've seen these things in that Europa Park, as I say. I've seen them elsewhere too. In Singapore, I've seen them as well. I mean, they're obviously they have the place.
They have
in
their
Mulgai,
place.
I think someone had, they
Yeah.
had one there too. Mulgai,
Did
an
they?
experiment one.
Oh.
Yeah,
Obviously,
had a
didn't go to.
Spitfire engine in it apparently. Yeah, well, there you go. That was an aeroplane. I should explain that Spitfire was an aeroplane used in the Second World War. Yeah. Okay. So turn the page. Let's see what else. I'm excited to see what's on the next page. Oh yes, another map.
Another
Heavens
map.
alive. I don't think we need to keep doing the maps because I mean
Yeah,
they're
there's
kind of
loads of maps.
a thing for. I mean, I
Pedestrian
think this is where the pedestrians and cycling people
Yes,
can
and
go.
parking.
So they have thought of that, and then the parking.
Yes, there's parking. There's
parking
lots
in
of
the red, is it?
pictures. Yeah. This is the parking areas.
All right. Okay, and so they have thought through. How many cars can go in that car park?
I cannot remember the
Can't
figures, but I'll
remember.
get you for them.
That's all right. It's only detail. No one else is going to remember
This-
it either. And then we've got a picture of.
The Wood Bank, which is the big house,
And
which
this
is
is the bit
private.
they're going to now
yeah.
say is natural countryside, which has
Yeah.
been. That's the big house, and they're going to. Is that what they're going to call the natural countryside or something?
Probably, yes. But this is where they're going to. Basically, that's derelict at the moment, so they are going to fix that up.
All right. And what are they going to do with it once they've fixed it up?
There's going to be. This is round the side here. Is where they're going to put the residential homes. There's going to be, I think, 6 houses.
Are they going to build houses for sale? Now, these going to be houses for people in Balch that can afford it, or are they going to be expensive houses? What they're going to be?
They're going. Well, we imagine they're going to be expensive houses. Today,
What,
one
5-6 bedrooms, or
we're not sure how many bedrooms, but one of the things that was brought, the question was asked today at the meeting, because one of the part of social housing legislations, if you build more than 4 houses, you need to have a quarter which are for social housing, and they seem to have overlooked this. Scottish Enterprise didn't seem today to be aware that they had to do this. So that wee bit of the meeting kind of got a bit heated when
Now,
this was pointed
see,
out.
One of those things, say if you go down to England and you go to Cornwall, one of the problems for a lot of people there is that people come down to Cornwall and buy a second house, but they live up in London or somewhere else,
Yeah.
and then that pushes the normal everyday. And is that going to be what I'm asking about these houses is, do you think, or is there any indication that they might be houses that are sold to people as second homes, or are they for the normal kind of everyday people who can come out from Glasgow? Maybe they've been fortunate, they've worked hard, they've got a little bit more money, and they could
Yes.
possibly bring their family out into a lovely area. Or will these places be sold to those people who have got a lot of it? Or maybe, of course, the scourge. No, I mustn't say the word scourge before I say this. But it is a thing that has
Yes.
caused a lot of people to move out. Airbnb
Yeah.
is a big thing, but I don't know if those things have got the right position.
Yeah, I'm not too sure at the moment in what level these houses are going to be, if they're going to be like second holiday homes or full-time residential homes. We haven't got that information at the moment. It's that kind of jelly, not quite.
Yeah.
They're giving you enough information, but not enough. So we're not 100% sure yet.
We've already discussed whether there be social housing, and obviously the Scottish Enterprise had no idea that there should be social housing.
Yeah.
But affordable housing is not what these are.
No, they're definitely not.
Right.
Definitely
Okay.
not. And
so what about, if they're going to, we talked just a moment ago about people who are going to be working there, and we discussed the fact that they've got a little caveat there, the people have to have the right qualifications. So if these people are not from Balloch and they don't have a home, to live in, and they bring people in from outside, and also it strikes me that this development could be year-long round. I do know of a place up near Ballater in the northeast, going on to the Cairngorms and Braemar. There is a place there, and they do have timeshare places that there used to be. Maybe they're not timeshare anymore because that's kind of gone out of fashion.
Yeah.
But they did keep that running the whole year. Now, this, when you come to Scotland, you know that, the summer's going to be the time when a lot of people want to come. But will this provide incomes and stuff for people the whole year round? And if they're going to bring in people for the season, where are they going to stay? Are they going to build a sort of little mini hotel for the workers?
Well, that is actually quite interesting, because this came up today, and this has been one of our bugbears. In the actual main application which they put in last year, there is a building which is assigned to staff accommodation.
Uh-huh.
And this has been one of the questions we keep asking. Why have you got a staff accommodation if you are going to employ local people? And we never get an answer. So today, Councillor Boland had asked that question. And the answer that came back was, we may not use it. We may not use it. It may get used for storage. We don't know. But what we'll do is we'll change the name from staff accommodation to something else.
In planning, for those very few couple of months I worked, you can't just change the use of a building.
No.
You have to decide it's going to be a residential building, or it's
Yes.
going to be a storage facility, or it's going to be a restaurant, and they have categories that they assign to
That's
each of these
correct,
planning
yes.
applications. And if you want a food outlet, best to go for a food outlet that's already been a food outlet, because you try and change something to a food outlet, you're going to have problems coming out of your ears.
I think the problem is, and this is what a lot of people don't understand, again, it's a planning in principle
And then, of course,
proposal at the moment.
Before we move on, there are obviously specialised planning permissions within a national park.
Yes, there is. The national park is actually very, very strict for planning permission. There's locals there who are not able to build conservatories, they're not allowed to build extensions on their houses. In the Balloch area, and this is what we can't understand, that these people who already live in the area are not able to put a conservatory in, but however, a development this size is being entertained. Which it really shouldn't be.
So I'm wondering whether to ask this question now or just save it, because it's been in the back of my mind to
Go
save
for
it
it.
for a long time. Because I was just wondering how many more pages we've got in your booklet there.
Lots of pictures.
All right, okay. Is there anything of substantial?
No, there's a few questions
Okay,
and
well,
answers.
maybe we come to those in a minute. So let me
But
ask
that's
this
it.
question then, because it is, I suppose, how do I phrase this to make sure it's not awkward? What is the kind of the buzz, the kind of overall thought, the largest thought, if you were to have a little mini election, who would come out on top as to why Scottish Enterprise are so keen? You gave us one reason, that was because the cafe is failing a bit.
Yeah.
But the other solution to that is to close it, or to make it smaller, or to put a private person in there to run it. There's plenty of ways you could get around that. So why do you think that these people want to do this? Who's going to make? Is there someone going to make a lot of money out of this? Is there someone who's I mean, are they so desperate to lose money by, some to getting rid of their taxes or something to put this together? I mean, what is that? Why do you think they want to take this thing and put it there?
Oh, there's crikey. One of the reasons we believe is Scottish Enterprise have got an underspend and they're having to sell off assets at the moment to make up money that they have lost.
Overspend or underspend?
Overspend, sorry. But however, that's one of the reasons. Why Flamingo Land? We don't know.
Sorry, I've got to interrupt you, Sam. This overspend, underspend. We better just go back and just
clarify that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And is this something that's speculation, or is it something that's written down somewhere?
It's written down somewhere. Again, I don't have the information with me. Yeah. That's Alana's department for that one. But no, so that's one of the reasons we believe this land has been sold. Why it's Flamingo Land, we do not know. We were not part of the process. The public were not part of the process in picking a developer.
And I read something about the amount of money that they're going to sell this land for, and I heard somebody say something, but then I did read something else just a few minutes before you got here about them. They're actually going to value the land before they make the contract. Is that right? Yes.
What's happened is we were always told, and it was information by Jackie Bailey that got us it, that the land was going to be sold for 200,000. But today, Scottish Enterprise had claimed that they haven't actually valued the land. That would be done after this process.
Just take that little 200,000 figure and then tell me how much you reckon one of these new houses they're going to...
A lot more than that.
I mean, in Balloch, what does a kind of a normal, say, 3-bedroomed house cost you?
Probably about just over 200,000. So it's a ludicrous amount of money. Ludicrous, in the sense that how can
does anybody, not you necessarily, just not pointing the finger at anybody, but have you heard in your deliberations with other people round about anything that people might think that there's something suspicious going on here?
Every local we speak to, actually,
So, but we can't verify that.
No, can't verify that. No, people locally are very
people
naturally.
Are concerned.
We're very concerned. I think what's concerning people is we've not been part of this process from day one. But then
what they said in the meeting today about valuing the land actually does move us away from that awkwardness, because they can't just set it off for nothing.
Exactly.
But will the valuation of the land be published?
We don't know. Jonathan McCall, the leader of the council, he brought the question up today, and he's basically demanded that they get back to him with a figure before this goes further. Because as he says, you cannot go into a contract or a deal without knowing the value of the land. You need to know the value of the land and how much you're selling it for. Saying that'll be done later.
So you've got Ross Greer's petition, objections.
Yeah.
See, I was clever there, wasn't
I?
Yeah,
you were quick.
And it's got 55,000, or you got more now?
I've not checked today.
Okay.
No, I'm terrible.
55,000 signatures, and that was, I think he was saying it was the biggest objection list that has been in the history of the Moon, or the history of Balloch, or the history of Scotland.
The history of Scotland, planning history in Scotland, it's the biggest amount of objections against any planning application. So that says something. So
now we're going to have to wind all this up in a moment or two. So is there any other thing that you could just, in a short sentence, say that you'd like to say about all this? Oh, crikey, yeah. Basically, I've never heard of anything so ludicrous to happen in Loch Lomond. And if anybody... How many of your pals... How many of your pals have been involved in this? Well, basically, I've got a bad habit of roping everybody into things like this. But me and Lana... So if you got them all around this table now, what would their thought be of putting a load of flamingos in the water at Loch Lomond? Absolutely ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous, yes. Can you imagine a pool of blue, of pink there?
Flamingos? Yeah, no. No.
And what if it was pink for girls and blue for boys?
No.
That's another debate. So I don't know. Sam, do you know how long we've been talking about this?
And probably very long. Yeah.
Almost an hour.
Oh my goodness. So much for me saying
and
I
we still
can't
have a couple of
talk.
minutes to go. So, but it seems to me that we've got a situation here where there's I don't know where all the backing of the money is coming from to develop this. That's another question we haven't even thought about yet.
Yeah.
And I suppose you could get a freedom of information to find out where the money comes from, or is it private money and one wouldn't know?
This is the thing, Scottish Enterprise are in partnership with Flamingo Land at the moment, and they have been subsidising Flamingo Land in terms of the assessments.
So some people there in Scottish Enterprise really want this thing to happen.
Yes, they do. They really do want to for it to happen, which is quite concerning, the fact that they seem to be deliberate in pushing this forward, even though the locals are saying, and not even just the locals, but visitors.
I would think that if you went around the world, you'd find some. So
Yes.
I think that it's wonderful to have you here, Sam.
Thank you for
Thank you very
inviting
much
me.
for your company for the last hour.
Thank you for inviting me.
As for everybody out there, I hope you've enjoyed all that and been interested by it. My goodness, it was quite a feast, wasn't it? And so we will definitely be coming back to all of this, and maybe with some nice films of Loch Lomond next time, because it was enjoyable to go up there, and I'd be happy to go up there again. But tomorrow night, we're not quite sure exactly. We're saying that these days, aren't we, what's going to happen? But we will certainly be back with another show, and it will be great, because that's what we are at Scotland, Broadcasting Scotland, isn't it? Got to keep saying it. Hey, love you. Have a good night. Night. Bye-bye.